Hello everyone, thanks for watching. As always, if you enjoyed the video, let me know, hit the like button. You can drop a comment down below. Share the video with anyone who might want to see it. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, all that stuff. So today we're going to be making a zip wallet. I have my printed pattern here. If you want to download it as well as a detailed list of instructions, you can pick it up from my pattern shop. The link is in the description of the video. So, to begin, we printed out the pattern on some nice thick paper. We trace it onto the leather, and we're cutting out each piece now. This piece here is going to be the outer shell, and you can see a trick I'm doing here. If you don't have a punch that's the exact size that you need for the zipper slot, you can use your hole punch, punch 4 holes, and connect them. There we have the finished outer shell with the zipper slot cut out, the 4 T-pockets, the 2 pocket banks, the 2 top pockets, and the small button tab. I also cut a decorative curve into the T-pockets and the top pockets. So for step number 3, we're going to finish the top edges of the T-pockets and the top pockets, the inside edges of the zipper slot, the edge of the short end of the shell, as you see here, and the edges of the button tab. Next, I'm skiving the underside of the T-pockets as well as the end of the small button tab. Still on the flesh side here, I'm going to skive the short end of the shell. And let's use the pattern here to mark and punch the holes for the snap button pieces. Since the female piece of the button snap is going to go underneath one of the pockets, I tore off the cap from the connector piece. That way it'll lay nice and flat. So here's the male end attached to the small button tab, and I'll attach the female piece to this top pocket. Now it's easier to see why you want the backside to be flat. Here I'm preparing the zipper with some double-sided tape. I haven't cut it to size yet. I'm just getting it lined up, press it in nicely, and then I'll go in and trim off the ends. If you're a bit unsure how to work with zippers, there are lots of great videos on YouTube to find out. Now we're going to begin with pocket assembly. Using the pattern, I'm marking where I want my first T-pocket to line up. And I use contact cement, so I put glue on both pieces that I'll be attaching together. And once it's dry to the touch, I can set it, press it in firmly, and then I can punch the bottom side of the T-pocket so I can stitch it into the card bank. Since this stitch isn't visible and is very rarely compromised, I just do an out and back stitch. Now I apply more glue and do the same thing with the second T-pocket. I butt it right up underneath the first, then punch and stitch the bottom of that T-pocket to the card bank. Next I'll be applying glue to the left and right and bottom edges of the card bank, as well as the top pockets, so I can attach them together and finish the assembly. Once that's complete, I repeat it again for the other card bank. Now this design uses optional trim allowances, and we're ready to trim some of those off now. For the pocket bank with the button snap, you're going to trim the left and right 4 millimeters off. And for the pocket bank without the button, you're going to trim only the left 4 millimeters off. You'll see why in a bit. For now, I'm going to finish the 3 edges I just trimmed, starting with some edge beveling. And then on to my miniature electric edge slicker. Love this thing. Now for the pocket bank with the snap button, I'm moving to the right edge and marking a spot that's 4 millimeters from that right edge and 12 millimeters from the bottom edge. Then I'm doing the same for the left side of the other pocket bank. I'll punch and stitch that line now. The reason is because there is going to be a hidden pocket underneath these two pocket banks, and we don't want them attached to the shell piece, so we'll just punch and stitch them now. Alternatively, if you did pick up the pattern, the card bank templates do have a guideline that you can use to measure how far down you should mark that line. Now going in with a good old standard saddle stitch. The pocket bank without the button snap is oriented on the right, with it is on the left. Now I jumped the gun a bit, ignore the glue you see on the left and right edges there. You only want to apply glue next to the zipper slot, and for the pocket bank with the button snap, only apply glue to the opposite edge from the one you just stitched. You're going to glue that edge right up on the edge of the zipper slot. And once again, 4 millimeters from the edge of the zipper slot, I'm going to mark a stitch line all the way around, including up on that card bank that we just attached. Ensure that your zipper is in its proper location underneath the shell, and then we're going to punch all the way through both the card bank, shell, and the zipper, and we're going to stitch it all together in one go. Now this next part may be a bit confusing, so I'm going to try to explain as best I can. On the long end of the shell, mark 8 millimeters from the edge, starting and stopping 8 millimeters from the top and bottom edges. Then continuing from there, mark along the right edge, 8 millimeters still, all the way until you reach the first corner of the zipper stitch, and stop there. Then continuing from the next corner of that stitch, keep marking until you are only 4 millimeters from the end. Then repeat the opposite on the other side. Next, I'm using the pattern to mark this stitch line underneath guideline C. Now, let's go through and punch all the lines we just marked. And here are some still images to get a better look at the lines we just punched. You can pause if you're following along and make sure your punches match. And of course the digital pattern has guidelines for this section. Next, underneath the pocket bank at the short end of the shell, I'm using the pattern to mark 12 millimeters from the left and right edges. Then I'm going to connect that line and punch it. After that, I'm grabbing the pocket bank that is not attached to the shell yet, and I'm using the top pocket B pattern to mark where I'll be gluing on the small button tab. Then let's pre-punch this pocket bank, marking 8 millimeters from each of the unstitched edges. Then flip the shell over to the flesh side and glue that pocket bank to the long end of the shell. And make sure the card slots are facing up in the same orientation as the other card slots. Now for the short end of the shell, apply glue to the end as well as the left and right edges all the way down until you reach that perpendicular stitch line. And make sure to keep your glue above that stitch line. And as you see here, I've folded the pocket bank over, lined up the punch holes, and started stitching. Now for the last bit of gluing, we're going to attach the pocket bank to the shell. Apply glue only to the top and bottom edges here, making sure not to glue shut that hidden pocket. If you use the optional trim allowances, It's time to make the final trim. Mark 4 millimeters from all 3 edges, excluding the side with the coin pouch. Then carefully and slowly cut away the 4 millimeter trim allowance, lopping off the extra leather and revealing a clean, flat edge. After the final trim, you're ready to go through and stitch up the entire wallet. And I finished this final stitch outside of the edge on this particular wallet. Not something I normally do, but just felt like trying it. And now you can bevel, burnish, dye, and otherwise finish all the remaining edges. I also decided to apply some mink oil. The piece doesn't really need it, the leather still has plenty of its own natural oils, but I wanted to give the leather a slightly darker tone. And lastly, go in with the bone folder and loosen up all that extra glue residue that was left behind. And we are done! This is a nice little wallet. Has a decently sized coin pouch, can fit 6 cards comfortably, even more if you want to use the secret pocket, like I showed there. Or you can use those pockets to hold some cash. Once again, the pattern for this wallet is in the description of the video. And if you have any feedback for me about the design or any questions about the pattern, you can let me know in a comment. Again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. See you in the next one.